Hi, I'm Gwyneth Amurao, and this is Group 4 of GED110 People and Earth's Ecosystem.
Hi, I'm Pamela Arcega.
Hi, I'm Silver C. Cantorne.
Hi, I am Sabelle G. Castro.
Hi, I'm Jaicen C. Duro.
Hi, my name is Jerrico Paulo S. Esplana.
Hi, I am Jahzeel G.
And hi, my name is Kelsey, Myle, and Rivera. As we learn more about the relationship between humans and the planet, we also gain a better understanding of the factors that impact our ecosystem. Simply said, a flora reservoir is the location where plants reside in order to constantly reproduce and live. In the past, these reservoirs were left alone because the plants were growing without assistance. But recently, professionals have begun to conserve these areas because of anthropogenic effects. In this video, we will educate and raise awareness about invasive species, the nitrogen and sulfur cycle, the significance of nitrogen and sulfur cycle to the plants, the anthropogenic effects, and lastly, epigenetics.
As Filipinos, we are aware of the word invasion, since our country is very familiar with colonization. Our country has been invaded by different countries, and because of those invasions, our culture has either been mixed with other cultures or is completely changed by other cultures. With this in mind, we can easily define what invasive species are. Invasive species are non-native species that cause harm to a new environment. Invasive species harm their new environment through different ways, such as disrupting the food web that would lead to some species being a constant prey to the invasive species, which would then result in the growth of population of the invasive species. Now, how can plants be considered as invasive species? First, there are plants that can reach other environments due to natural causes, such as birds or other animals that carry the seeds of the plants to a new environment. These invasive plants would then cause harm through different ways, such as disrupting the balance and diversity of the plants in the new environment.
Nitrogen is a chemical element. Its gas occupies 78% of the Earth's atmosphere. It is essential in making amino acids and building protein. How does a nitrogen cycle start? It starts with the precipitation of the nitrogen gas in the atmosphere through rain or snow. Once it is in the soil, the nitrogen-fixing bacteria fixes the nitrogen and converts it into nitrate for the plants to absorb. First, the nitrogen and hydrogen are combined in the plant's roots in a process called nitrogen fixation, which results in ammonium. Through assimilation, the plants can absorb the nitrate. Some of the nitrate, which is not absorbed by the plants, are released into the atmosphere by the denitrifying bacteria through denitrification. Through ammonification, the carcasses or wastes are decomposed and the inorganic nitrogen is released into the ecosystem as ammonia, entering the cycle once again.
The sulfur cycle, in essence, is the circulation or movement of sulfur through nature in its diverse variations. In fact, all living things contain sulfur, which is a component of certain amino acids. Sulfur has tons of proteins for soil, which ends up as sulfates that are usable by plants through a number of microbial transformations. Sulfur is released into the atmosphere through volcanic activities, the burning of fossil fuels, and the breakdown of organic molecules. It is contained in subterranean rocks and minerals on land, and it is emitted to land through geothermal vents, rock weathering, and precipitation.
With those information stated, the main question is, what is the significance of the nitrogen and sulfur cycle to plants? The nitrogen cycle's main significance to plants is that it is ideal for plant growth and development. Under plant growth, the nitrogen cycle plays a big part in producing chlorophyll, which is used in photosynthesis to produce food from nitrogen compounds. Using this cycle, the soil has necessary nutrition through nitrates and nitrates that were released to it. It has been considered an essential ingredient for plants, and without enough nitrogen, the plant cannot produce enough food or grow taller. It enhances the soil and aids in lowering its sodium concentration and becomes a conditioner for soil. It elevates the overall growth of vegetables, fruits, and crops. Combining the two cycles, they have a common goal: to produce a healthy plant with the right balance of nitrogen and sulfur.
Human activities undoubtedly have a great impact on ecological alterations, which affects biodiversity, most especially plant life. Plants are generally considered as the most affected due to the several human and non-human stressors in which it is experiencing. These stressors lead to ecological modifications with levels of soil nitrogen, phosphate, calcium and pH, atmospheric carbon dioxide, herbivore pathogens, predator concentrations, disturbance patterns, and climate being among the environmental restrictions that have been subject to human alterations. Due to the limitations imposed by each species' physiologies, morphologies, and life cycles, extinction would result from a particular mix of environmental constraints. Specifically, atmospheric carbon dioxide concentrations have increased to nearly 40% over pre-industrial levels, while natural rates of nitrogen addition and phosphorus liberation to terrestrial ecosystems have also doubled.
Epigenetics. The field of epigenetics studies how your behavior and environment can affect how your genes work. It can affect how your body perceives a DNA sequence, even though they are reversible and do not change your DNA sequence as genetic changes do. How does it work? There are three types of epigenetic changes. DNA methylation. It entails the methylation of tiny chemical groups known as DNA building blocks. A gene is silenced or shut off when it has methyl groups attached to it, and no protein is made as a result. Histone modification is a typical epigenetic alteration. In the cell nucleus, histones serve as structural proteins. Non-coding RNA. Your DNA is made up of two types of molecules, coding and non-coding. Coding RNA is used to make proteins. Non-coding RNA helps to control gene expression by attaching to coding RNA, along with certain proteins.
Currently, changes in the environment that harm animal and plant species are the result of human activity. Habitats that plants and animals require to exist are frequently altered or destroyed as a result. Animals and vegetation are dying 1,000 times faster now than they did 65 million years ago due to the rapid growth of human populations. Ecological fragmentation, habitat loss, and biodiversity loss are frequent results of anthropogenic disturbances. In tropical forests ecosystems, human activities are the primary causes of biodiversity change and disruption of ecosystem processes. There are also instances where invasive species are the main reason for biodiversity disruption because of possible competition. The living circumstances of plants in an ecosystem are disrupted by factors such as the natural levels of numerous elements, including nitrogen, calcium, phosphorus, and atmospheric CO2, as well as levels of herbivores, pathogens, and predators. We must keep in mind that human activity also modifies the climate, which has a huge impact on life on the planet.